Welcome to Networking Arizona with host Carol Blonder. You'll hear interviews with businesses located throughout the valley. Networking, it makes a difference. If I traded it all.
So welcome to the show, everyone. It's a new year, and Happy New Year. So I can still say that. It's still the first week back. So I'm gonna go in with networking right away. My first guest is Elisa, and I'm hoping I say it right, Kersilik, and she is the Vice President of Mountain View Funeral Home and Cemetery. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Carol. It's great to be here. I appreciate you giving us the opportunity to share a little bit about what we do.
Great. Now tell us a little bit. Obviously, we know that you're a funeral home, but there's a lot more to it than obviously just what people think that you do. Go ahead and talk a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Great. Thank you. Well, I actually have been a licensed funeral director for about 25 years. And as a young person, I always wanted to help people and try to help make a difference in one of the most tough times of their life. Carol, it has taken me about 24 years to figure it out. Helping people when somebody has passed away is definitely a benefit to them, but it's a greater benefit if we help them before somebody passes away. So I am proud to be part of a team at Mountain View where we actually specialize in helping people make the decisions beforehand for their loved one or for themselves so that when the time comes, the family's not left making a lot of those decisions. And that's what we call pre-planning.
And that's what we want people to know about, and that's what you're here to talk about today.
That's right.
And you told me before we came on that there are more than one location. So how many do you have?
We actually have 3 locations. We have the location right on Main Street in Mesa, which is the Mountain View Funeral Home, Cemetery, and Crematory. We have a location down in Queen Creek, which is Santan Mountain View Funeral Home. And then we also are proud to have recently acquired the Superstition Funeral Home, which is in Apache Junction, right on Old West Highway.
And you do free consultations. Obviously, you have to do that. You're also rated with the Better Business Bureau, which is, I was going to ask you that before you came on. I wasn't sure, should I ask something like that to a funeral home? Why is it important that they know that you are rated with the Better Business Bureau?
It's extremely important because with our consumers today, rather they're going out to a restaurant, purchasing a car, or selecting a place for funeral homes, they have choices. And we encourage them to know a little bit about the company and the services and the value that they're going to get for the money that they choose. It's difficult because of the emotion that's involved. So we want to make sure that we not only meet, but we exceed every one of our family's expectations. And we do so to a point that by being registered with the Better Business Bureau, people have a free freedom of speech to share what their concerns or questions are, or most likely leave a very positive comment, which is always the case with us.
Okay, and also you have a free personal planning guide that you're going to offer everybody. We're going to open up the lines for people to call in for that. But tell us a little bit about what that really is.
Great. Okay, so a personal planning guide is an opportunity for an individual or couple or family, for that matter, to sit down and talk about what's important to them, how they want to celebrate their life. Are there religious preferences or no religious preferences at all? Do they want to have a viewing? Do they want to have a ceremony? How they want to be remembered. And this guide walks them through step by step very important personal statistical information as well as some of their preferences so they can get it on paper to be able to help their family when they're going through that difficult time. Know, did we do the right thing? And is this what my loved one would have wanted? Now,
we're going to open up the lines to the audience to give that to everybody. All you have to do is call here at 602-277-5369, and toll free it's 1-866-536-1100. And as morbid as people might think that this all is to be talking about, it's not. It's extremely important for people to, plan out what it is. I can tell you now just by firsthand, even if you think you have all your I's dotted and their T's crossed, they're not always. Right?
That's exactly correct. And what we find oftentimes is that people who have never talked about this get a little bit of a sticker shock when they find out how much a funeral costs. And their first reaction is, oh, wow, how am I going to afford this? How are we going to have the services that my mom would have wanted? How are we going to make all of this happen in a small amount of time? It's our responsibility to educate the community and be able to say there are ways where you can save a lot of money, you can plan ahead, and you can prepare your families so that you're basically doing your kids a favor.
Now, their website is Mountain View Funeral Home, and it's all spelled out, cemetery.com. Their phone number, they do free consultations, is 480-832-2850. They got 3 locations. One is in Mesa, the other one is Queen Creek and Superstition. I'm just going to say it that way. Is that okay?
That's perfect.
And then, of course, we've got our lines open here for everybody to get the personal planning guide. Our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. Okay, obviously, it is important for someone to do this as they're getting older. All right, and we know that. We have parents maybe that are getting older that are listening to this, that the children are saying, you know, Mom, you, Dad, you really should be doing this. I'm going to bring up something that I said I was going to do to you, and you were like, okay, and I'm going to let you hear this. This is it comes close to my heart because this is happening in my life. I'm getting to that age. They're dropping like flies, right? But in any case, the thing is I want to say is that my brother, who is not that old, I mean, he's only, in his 50s, just got found out that he's got terminal cancer. So he's got to figure that out, right? That's a great time. I mean, unfortunately, you don't want to hear about something like that, but it is, my point is, it's not just for somebody who's older.
That is exactly correct. And I will tell you, as I mentioned earlier, being a funeral director for many years, I have always shared information about pre-planning. And I had a sweet little lady in an audience one time say to me, sweetheart, you sing a good song up there, but let me just ask you, do you have your plans in place? And I was taken a little back because I did not at the time. And I did go home. My husband and I sat down and we pre-planned our entire funeral, soup to nuts. I'm 48 years old and everything is in place and paid for. And my kids, who are both teenagers, know that if something is to happen to us, they know exactly what our wishes are. So unfortunately, death does not have a specific age range. It does not come at any given exact time. We never know the day nor the hour, so all of us need to be prepared.
Sure. Now, if a person pre-plans and is on let's say a payment plan, and I didn't even know that they have those things, so you get to talk a little bit about, and they pass away, let's say, before the policy is paid off, what happens?
So that's a great question, Carol, and I'd like to take a moment and explain that. We make pre-planning affordable. We lock it in at today's prices. There is a small cost of insurance, depending on how many years you'd like to pay it out over, depending, again, on your age and, in like the case of your brother, what your health situation is. Once a policy is in the works of being paid, after you've hit the 2-year mark, the balance is forgiven. If it has not reached the 2-year mark, then the family would be responsible to pay the difference. The nice thing is it's not hitting them with a very expensive bill that's due at the day of a funeral, but it's giving them the opportunity to plan and work within a budget that suits their finances.
Again, they have 3 Valley locations. One is in Mesa, Queen Creek, and Superstition. Their phone number to call, it's area code 480-832-2850. They do free consultations. They're rated with the Better Business Bureau. It's Mountain View Funeral Home, and it's all spelled out, cemetery.com. And we've got our lines open here. We want everybody should have this free personal planning guide. And it may be you that's sitting there right now going, we should really do this. And it may be, I'm going to say it again, your parents that need to do this. Or maybe you're thinking, I've got children, I've just gotten married. There's never a bad time. So give us a call here, 602-277-5369, and toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. I want to quickly do this, but I'm sure we're going to come back and I'm going to try and get into it before the break here. Is it true that funeral and cremation services are provided at no cost to veterans?
Unfortunately, that is a myth. They are not. And so many people that we talk with say, oh, I'm a veteran. They're going to take care of everything for me. The veterans do have entitlement rights at the government cemeteries where they will provide a burial, both for cremated remains and or for casketed remains. But when it comes to the funeral services, they are not always provided. There are some exceptions, and those would be for specific circumstances where there's benefits available. But a lot of people don't realize that the funeral home is a separate entity, and they would still be responsible for their own cremation and or funeral.
We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to talk further about some of the things that you can do to help people out there. It's all about planning, and we've got our lines open here. Our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. I believe everybody should have one of these. Give us a call. We'll be back in just a minute. Hang tight. So welcome back. Now, our lines are open here. We are talking with Elisa Kersilik. If I said again correctly, she's the vice president of Mountain View Funeral Home and Cemetery. And yeah, that sounds like a weird thing to be talking about, but it's really important for people to be planning ahead. And again, it's not just for somebody who's older, anybody. Really, you said it earlier perfectly. I mean, it could happen to anyone, anytime. And again, and maybe it's your parents that you want them to get ready for. We want to give everyone this personal planning guide. Our number here is 602-277-5369. Toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. And I'm going to let everybody call throughout the rest of the show for that, because I believe that is important. Again, tell everybody that might have not heard what it is, what exactly it includes. Go ahead.
Great. Thank you, Carol. The personal planning guide is a booklet that's free for anybody that calls in, and it's a guide that's going to help them make decisions by themselves with their husband or wife or their family to be able to make sure that their wishes are followed, whether they're of a religious nature or no religion at all, wanting to make sure that the family knows, does mom want a viewing or visitation, a ceremony, where that ceremony is going to take place, basically how we're going to celebrate their life when the time comes.
Again, our number is 602-277-5369, and toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. They've got 3 Valley locations. One is in Mesa, Queen Creek, and Superstition. You can also call them. Like I said, they do consultation, so it's 480-832-2850. So walk us through a pre-planning process a little bit.
Okay, that's a great question, Carol. So basically what I tell our families is we owe them 2 things. We owe them a time to say goodbye and a place to go and say hello. So when we talk about their time to say goodbye, we ask them, what does that look like to you? Would you like to have your whole body there present where people can see you and touch you and kiss you and say goodbye? Or is it going to be maybe a closed casket with some beautiful flower arrangements on it? Maybe you've chosen cremation and you want to be in an urn where people are going to look at a beautiful vessel that's housing your cremated remains. We walk them through every step on what is important to them and things that might be said, memories that might be shared, and possibly music that might be played. Those are sort of some of the things that define a person's personality, that make people laugh, that make people cry, but most importantly, leave those memories of that person's life and how it impacted them. We take them through those steps so that when it comes time to that place to go and say hello, they've thought about, if they're being cremated or buried, where that place is going to be. Do they want to be in the tree, in a tree section? Do they want to be in a columbarium? Do they want to be near water? Some of these things they've never even thought about or never even knew were possible. So we get them a little uncomfortable with the conversation as it starts, because nobody likes to talk about death, let alone their own or their parents for that matter. So we put them in a comfortable position that might be even in their own home. They're welcome to come to our office, but we walk them through this process at their pace. And once they've made some decisions, we jot them down, and then we start to create a vision of what that looks like for them. And then we talk to them about the financing and the ways that we can help them afford it.
Now, what about if somebody is to do this early on and they change their minds about something? Can they do that?
Absolutely, because one of the things we have at Mountain View are all licensed professionals, whether it's a licensed funeral director, licensed cremation operator, embalmer, and most importantly for our pre-need, they're licensed insurance agents. So when they are buying this pre-need policy, they are actually buying a life insurance policy. So that money is theirs. Say they decide to move back home, wherever home is. That policy can go with them. They've lost nothing. If they decide to change their plans, they still have that money and they can apply it towards whatever new or different services they would want to do at the time of need.
Now, again, they do free consultations. They're rated with the Better Business Bureau. Their website is Mountain View Funeral Home, and it's all spelled out, cemetery.com. Their phone number, it's 480-832-2850. And I've got my lines open here for you to call in for the free personal planning guide. Again, I believe that everybody should have one of these. Our number here is 602-277-5369, and toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. Okay, so we have a lot of snowbirds, that visit Arizona, obviously. What happens if they were to, pass away here, but they live somewhere else?
So, Carol, that's probably one of the best questions you've asked, because we go to a lot of the senior centers. We go to a lot of these villages where they have part-time people living, and we'll visit with them, and they'll say, oh, I don't need to worry about that. I'm all arranged back in Canada. Or my arrangements are all taken care of in Minnesota, Pittsburgh, New York, all those cold places where they come to enjoy our warm weather. But what they don't realize, that if they have not purchased a travel protection plan, they are at risk of it costing them just as much money to have to pay for 2 funeral homes, because that funeral home where they've pre-planned does not have the ability, in many cases, to be able to provide those services here in Arizona because they're not here. So we encourage them to consider the travel protection. It's a one-time fee. It's $470, and it guarantees that if you die, not only if you're here in Arizona, but anywhere in the world, that your same like services will be conducted to get you back home at no additional cost. There's no questions asked, no cause of death, or is going to limit what they're going to allow. So I believe that if you don't have the travel protection, you're really opening yourself up to the risk that if you have arrangements elsewhere, you're still not protected to have that money's in a fund to be able to allow to get you back home.
How much money then do you have to save when you're pre-planning your funeral cremation?
Well, what we do is we show them ways where they save money by locking it in at today's prices. And so by them locking it in at today's prices, we're going to put them on a payment plan that's affordable to them. That might be, I can only afford $100 a month or $300 a month. We're going to work with them within their budget and lock it in at today's prices.
Okay, so that means that if they do, whatever they do today sticks.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So what are the different options then at your cemetery?
So one of the things I love about Mountain View is that in an environment here in Arizona where cremation is a very heavily chosen choice, we find that people need to have something that's going to kind of tell the story of who they are. We have a beautiful Masonic garden. We have a beautiful LDS garden. We have Christian, Catholic sections. And then we have everything for above ground memorialization, such as a cremation bench. A boulder? Did you know, Carol, you could put cremated remains in a boulder?
No, I had no idea. I have just found out recently you can put them in some jewelry.
That's correct. And we offer different types of jewelry. We make diamonds out of the cremated remains. We can help make arrangements if a family said, I want to be placed into a reef at the bottom of the ocean. There's literally nothing we can't do. If it's legal and it's ethical and it's feasible, we're going to make sure we help that family memorialize for them.
Again, their phone number, it's area code 480-832-2850. 3 locations, Mesa, Queen Creek, and Superstition. They do free consultations, rated with the Better Business Bureau. And I'm going to let everybody keep on calling throughout the rest of the show for the free personal planning guide. Our number here is 602-277-5369. And toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100. I love the way you put it. It's a time to say goodbye and a place to say hello.
That's correct.
That's really neat about that. I love the way you put that.
Thank you.
I'm hoping to get this one in here. So do you have the payment plans for people? How does that work?
So what we're going to do is we're going to sit down with the family. We're going to give them a multiple of choices. They can get a coupon book, and they can mail a coupon in with their check, just like they would if they were paying an electric bill or a phone bill. We can go ahead and have it set up automatically, taken right out of their checking account, so they don't even have to worry about setting in a check. And most conveniently, we also take credit cards, and we can do that on an automatic payment as well, so they don't even have to worry about looking at an invoice every month.
Right. Now, do you have like little sort of guides, you know, when people want to come and see where they're going to be and the possibilities of all of that?
Absolutely. We have counselors.
Tours.
That's exactly correct. We have counselors available 7 days a week. Sunday is by appointment. Otherwise, we're in the office every day, Monday through Saturday, 8 to 5. And our counselors will take them around in the golf cart. It's always fun to take a little ride in the golf cart. And we show them all the beautiful selections and choices available and answer any questions that they might have.
What if something happens suddenly to somebody? How does they handle that? You know, it can happen obviously at any time. And all of a sudden something happens.
It's very simple. All they do is pick up the phone 24 hours a day. As we all know, death takes no holiday. It does not take the weekends off, nor do we. We're available 24 hours a day, and we will be coming to their home. We'll come and meet with them. We'll have them come to our location, but whether it's day or night, weekend or not, we are there to serve their family.
What are some of your final words?
I just would like to say thank you again for inviting me to be on the show. I think awareness is the number one thing we're here to do today, is to talk to people about the thing they don't like to talk about. But we're very kind people. We're very compassionate and caring. As a family-owned business in the community since 1951, the Corys have been serving Mesa, and they're here with their doors open and their hearts open as well to help families that are in need and would like to have us help them.
Again, they do free consultations. Write the number down. It may not be right this moment, but it might be something that you go home and think about and talk to your loved one about and say, you know what, it is time. We better start doing this. It is 480-832-2850. It's Mountain View Funeral Home and Cemetery.com. They've got location in Mesa, Queen Creek, and Superstition, rated with the Better Business Bureau. Keep on calling here, and the number here is 602-277-5369 for that personal planning guide, or toll free, it's 1-866-536-1100.